Well, good morning, boys and goyim, ladies and gentlemen. This is Vincent Burt of the 11th Hour Remnant Messenger coming to you once again with another message. Today I'm going to talk to you about angels, demons, ghosts, poltergeists, and believe it or not, pathogens. Well, between the movies, Coast to Coast Late Night on the radio and television programs about the paranormal, we are left with the lingering notions about ghosts, spirits, and even angels and demons. In fact, a movie based on Dan Brown's book by that very name was made starring Tom Hanks, and it was very, very popular. Well, do supernatural entities really exist? Why are they not around all the time? At least where we can feel them, or sense them, or even see them. After all, in the Ancient of Days, there seems to be many of the cultures of old and civilizations that lent credence to these spirits, and many nations had them as gods. And if they are around from time to time, why is it only that a very few people have ever had contact with them, and then not all the time? And why is it that the most sophisticated equipment in the world cannot sense, see, or alert us to the presence of spirits, if they indeed exist at all? Well, from the Bible we know that Satan, Gabriel, and Michael are sometimes called Michael, as well as many so-called messengers, have transcended the eternal continuum to the time-space continuum which we live in many times. We read this in Genesis, Job, Isaiah, Daniel, the Gospels, and Revelation. These are all archangels or simply angels. The Catholic Bibles gives us a glimpse of a couple of others by name. Some are called simply messengers, which many preachers deny that they are angels at all. And of course, Roman, Greek, and Nordic mythology tell us of gods that sometimes visit and perform various feats and acts in the heavenlies. The Bible tells us that as a result of the fall of Satan, or Lucifer, that he took 1/3 of the angels with him to do his bidding. That would be to thwart the efforts of Yahweh God on this planet through his peculiar and particular people, we white Hebrew Adamite Israelites of the earth. And again, the first thing we know about Satan is he did fornicate with Eve in the garden, bringing about Cain, or the Canaanite line, which we come to know as Jews of today. Also reinforced in the Esau-Edom line of the gene pool of Esau-Edom. These have always been enemies of the offspring of Adam and Eve through the gene pool and the line of Seth. Secondly, the Bible tells us that angels left their first state, which is the eternal continuum, and came into the time-space continuum and fornicated with the women on earth whom they found beautiful. These resulted in the so-called Nephilim, or Zimzuman, or the giants of old. Whether this means men and women of great power, as some claim, or great stature as literal giants, we know that there were giants in the Bible, and their bones have even been found around the world in recent days. Some were over 15 feet tall. Most notable in the Bible are Og and Goliath, who were still living at the time of King David, about 1000 BC. Remember, when the angel of the Lord was to meet with Daniel and had to contend with the prince of Persia for 21 days until Michael, or Michael, the archangel, intervened for the messenger so that he could get to Daniel as promised. After speaking to Daniel, this entity, which Daniel called a thing in human form, not entirely human, said he had to go back to continue his fight against the prince of Persia. A fascinating story. Based upon these biblical accounts, we know that these spiritual entities somehow make their way from the spirit world into ours. At least they used to. Where are they then in the spirit world? Up there above us, beyond the moon? In the center of the earth, in the so-called nether world beneath us? It is my belief that they are all around us, all the time. Let's start with the basics, and I'll bring you along in a logical, rational way so that you are convinced that these do exist and are all around all around you all the time. Is this scary? No, not really, because these entities rarely transcend the eternal continuum into the time-space continuum. Why? Well, we cannot know at this time. We just know that they don't. Okay, I'm going to bring up a picture of the atom. The foundation of all matter has to deal with atoms, that is to say protons, neutrons, and electrons, and even smaller particles that have been discovered in the last 50 years. These all vibrate, and I want you to get this very carefully. You'll notice I started my presentation today with the Beach Boys song, Good Vibrations. There's a reason for that. Everything vibrates or has a harmonic, or oscillates, if you will. In fact, all matter has a harmonic, from the smallest particle to the largest star, including everything in between, molecules, tissues, organs, eyes, the body of each and every creature, rocks, water, air, your fingernail even. And the earth has an electronic signature, oscillating frequency, or harmonic, and most are measurable and identifiable by their frequencies. We know that God's laws are immutable, and they do not change and cannot change unless acted upon by outside forces. If this were not so, everything in the universe and around us would be random and chaotic. We couldn't exist in this state that we are in, nor could anything else. That is why evolution and random happenstance is impossible. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture of a radio wave, and I'm going to talk about crystals. Crystals are used to emanate the radio waves from the radio stations all over the country. Yes, crystal is required in every transmitter. These will generate the carrier wave that houses the signal that we hear on our radios. So we have a carrier wave going along, and in that carrier wave there'll be a signal that is transmitted with that. Depending on the size and the length of the wave and whether it's modulated or not, you have the difference, at least on normal radios, between AM and FM. Okay, now for example, the carrier wave can be differentiated on your radio even today while you're listening from the wave that brings us, that is the actual sound. When your radio has so-called dead air, or there's a long gap between music playing or someone talking, you'll hear a sort of static. That static is either the carrier wave carrying nothing, or sometimes just electromagnetic interference, such as fluorescent lights or someone running a motor down at your neighbor's house or even in your garage. If you could squeeze a crystal sufficiently or place a crystal under extreme pressure without shattering it, the crystal will generate power that can be measured. Yes, it can. Such is the essence of a crystal. In the so-called occult world, many adherents wear crystals around their neck and place them in strategic locations around their houses. They claim healing powers and even say the crystals enhance the ability to communicate with the spirit world. True or not, there's a nice business in mining various types of minerals for crystals, shaping them and selling them to those who believe. The church of today would claim this practice to be demonic and worse, and forbid their flocks from wearing crystals for that purpose. I suppose then it would be forbidden to wear diamonds, a very special crystal. So what is the point of all this? Well, I'm going to reiterate a lecture I gave in Tucson in 2002. My lecture had to do with biological medicine, a discipline that I'm certified in. I studied in Canada and worked under the tutelage of a 20-year practitioner and purchased my equipment that was manufactured in Germany, and it is sold throughout Russia and many European countries who use it to literally cure cancers and all types of other maladies that shorten the life of we humans. This is accomplished by killing or neutralizing the causal agents of these diseases called pathogens. As it turns out, all pathogens have an oscillating frequency between 80 and 800 kilohertz. By targeting the exact harmonic or frequency of a particular pathogen, inverting the wave, and ever so slightly increasing the amplitude, the pathogen will be destroyed. This can be accomplished within any human being and other living things for that matter. It is only a question of identifying the particular pathogen. This can be accomplished with some rather sophisticated electronics equipment, easily purchased, as I said, in Germany, and sometimes you can even do it, believe it or not, with a 9-volt battery. Viruses, bacteria, molds, and fungus are harmful to we humans for the most part. By killing these, we can allow the body's own immune system to bring back a healthy individual in perfect harmony. That is the essence of all health, the body being in harmony internally. The Chinese call it yin-yang and the life force Qi or Ji. I know it sounds somewhat crazy. If this was so, and it did actually work, and it certainly does, why don't the physicians use these procedures to help their patients? Well, first, they can only do what they are taught in medical school and what is approved by the AMA and FDA. There is no profit in health, only in disease. Using our procedures would eliminate 75% of all pharmaceutical products on the market and 2/3 of all doctors that practice unless they are highly specialized. Of course, the FDA and AMA call what we do quackery because they want you to use their spurious methods and drugs in an attempt to effect a cure, procedures that are far less successful than what we use. We attack the cause, not the symptom. All of the senses that we have come to know, touch, smell, sight, hearing, smelling, and the rest are a result of the reception of the vibrations or oscillating frequencies that emit or receive this phenomena. Your eyes don't see anything. Your eyes sense the vibration and the brain then interprets it. As an example, a cat can see better at night than we can. A dog can smell things that we can't smell and has more acute hearing than we have. An eagle can see far further than we and can see fish under the water at these same distances. We all know that an owl sees better at night than we can. How do you suppose that these creatures, and I've only named a few, are able to do these things? Well, simply they are engineered by Yahweh God to have certain senses on a different level than we humans. Their systems operate having different receptors than we have. They are able to sense levels of oscillation or frequencies higher or lower than we can. I'm going to show you a picture of the entire spectrum of extremely low frequency to gamma frequencies here, and you're going to see an interesting phenomena occur as I speak to you further. As we move from the left side of the chart, or ELF, extremely low frequency or radio wave side of the chart, towards the right side of the chart, or the gamma waves, you can see that the frequency or wavelengths are compressed significantly. You will notice that the charts stop at the gamma wavelength, or 10 to the minus 12 in frequency. These are all measurable or extrapolations. What if, however, think about this, you were able to double or even triple the frequency or wavelength, or even more? Let's go even further. What if we were to magnify that frequency by 100 or 1,000 times more than the gamma spectrum? Those possibilities are endless, aren't they? If possible, would that account for parallel universes or the spirit world? Remember, the Bible tells us that Yahweh God says that one day is as 1,000 years. I remember an analogy I tried to do, simple math really, that by extrapolation, one day of our lives is equivalent to 4 seconds in the eternal continuum, if this is so. That would mean that the spirit world can move about all around us at speeds that we cannot even fathom, here, there, and everywhere in a matter of seconds. And if we were to conclude that matter in the eternal continuum is far larger or smaller, it is even possible to conclude that the so-called spirits or angels or demons or ghosts or whatever can be passing through us each and every nanosecond. That's a billionth of a second, boys and goyim. Jesus confirmed the existence of ghosts when he miraculously appeared to the disciples, including Thomas, who later became known as Doubting Thomas as a result of this phenomena I'm about to tell you. Jesus entered the room through a wall, if you recall, after his resurrection. There were two significant things that happened here. One, that Jesus confirmed the possibility of ghosts because Jesus suggested to the people in the room, his disciples, that they looked like they saw a ghost, or that he is not a ghost. And that two, that Jesus seemingly entered the room through the wall, transcending the immutable laws of physics. That is, unless he broke the wall down. Remember, this is after Jesus had been crucified, dead, buried, and resurrected. He obviously was able to transcend the eternal continuum at will. So in conclusion, there are angels and ghosts and even demons. They function at a different oscillation or frequency than we do, so much more that we cannot see, hear, or feel them. Occasionally a dog or cat may get a sense of them because their abilities to hear and see beyond what we are able to, probably when these entities are operating or attempting to transcend from the eternal. Proof? Well, I don't have any, and no one else does either. These are speculations on my part, using the immutable laws of the universe, or Yahweh's laws of the universe, to extrapolate how these things could exist and where they might exist. Based upon this, I will let you draw your own conclusions about the spirit world. Always remember this: there is no death in the spirit world, and the truth be known, we don't die either. We leave our earthly bodies, of course, and translate into the spirit or eternal continuum. Nowhere in the Bible is there any indication there is death or annihilation in the spirit world, including us after we leave our earthly bodies. Yahweh and Yeshua places spirits and angels in the abyss. He chains them. He leaves them in paradise. He sends them, or us, to the fire, the outer darkness, or allows us to be with him throughout the universe, or in the throne room, or living in a room in the mansion that Jesus says he has for us. There's a lot that we know and much more that we don't know. I can assure you, however, that one day, on that great day, we will all know. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will close my presentation today. May Yahweh bless and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you. May he lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.